The next thing for us to learn about, the next thing for us to talk about is texting and driving. And, we all pretty much know we shouldn't do it. And you might even be tempted to be like, okay, I know this material. Don't turn it off. Don't turn it off. Not just yet. Because I have some really cool resources to share with you and some good information to share with you. And it could make the difference between you living and you dying, or somebody else living or somebody else dying. And even more importantly, maybe than saving you from death, it could save you from a fate which is worse than death, because there are fates that are worse than death. And that's like actually one of my favorite Stephen King quotes, that there are fates worse than death. He says something like that. So texting and driving, don't do it. Don't do it. And why shouldn't you do it? You shouldn't do it because you don't want to end up in an accident with your car, that you were in looking like this. Like, that probably did not turn out very well for the people who are in these vehicles. And yeah, that looks pretty horrible. So where do we begin with texting and driving? How about if we begin with this woman, right? And then here's her son, who used to be healthy and running around, and she was hoping she was going to be able to go watch him play football. But now for the rest of his life, he's going to be attached to a ventilator because somebody was texting and driving, and they blew right through a stop sign, and they hit him. And he was holding his sister's hand when he got hit. Or how about this woman who was walking her dog, and a teenager texting and driving hit her and the dog and killed the dog and severely injured this woman, giving her brain damage. Or how about this guy who was driving to work and he was texting his wife and he was telling her, I love you. And right when he was sending that text message, I love you, he ran into an Amish family driving a horse-drawn carriage, and he killed three of them. Killed three people ages 3, 5, and 17. 3, 5, and 17 when he was 21. And he has to live with that for the rest of his life, right? And the father of the people who are killed, right? Now, the father of the people who are killed no longer has his family. And like, here's the picture of the van he was driving when he hit them. And then there's this guy who is texting and driving as he's going to work, and he caused this car a couple of he clipped one car, which then he clipped this car, which then spun in front of a truck and then got hit by the truck, and both people in this car died. And so now this guy has to live with that, you know. And so I just think it's really important, like technology being a tool, and do we use it or does it use us? And it's really easy when we're driving to think, oh yeah, no problem. I'm just going to glance down and look quickly, and it'll only be a second. And but that second can be crucially important. And these people here all thought the same thing, right? They all thought the same thing. They thought, oh, I'm just going to look down for a minute, or I could handle it, I could do it. And they were wrong. They were wrong. And they have to they suffer severe consequences because of it. So I'd hate to see you get into an accident and hurt somebody else or hurt yourself because you didn't take a moment, or you didn't just wait to wherever you were to get to where you're going to then check your phone. You couldn't resist the urge but to pick it up to see why it had just chimed and who was thinking of you, right? So just really want you to avoid getting into a car accident or hurting yourself or hurting somebody else. No, I'm not busy. I'm only driving. That's that text message, right? Here's Heather. Her life ended too soon. Driving home from work, 3 miles from home, texting back and forth with a friend, and she ended up dying. There's the car that she got in an accident in. Or here's Amanda, right? And lost her sister. Was texting me in her car into the medium. She was ejected and killed, right? Honk if you love Jesus. Text while driving if you want to meet him. Or here's something on CNN. Texting can be deadly, right? And you can see here somebody hit the windshield. So there's a really cool video that I'd like you to check out. It's actually this video, and it's called Your Final Text Message. It's only 10.5 minutes long, and absolutely worth watching. And you'll see some pretty heart-rending stories in there. But hopefully it will convince you not to text and drive when you're driving, because studies show that you're 23 times more likely to be involved in a car accident when texting and driving. 23 times more likely. And here is another video along the same subject. This one's 35 minutes long. And so like all those people I was showing you at the beginning here, right, that these images are from this 35-minute video. So if you want to hear those stories, check out this video. And the last thing I'll share with you are a couple of anecdotes from students. So last semester I had a student in my class and we talked about this, and then he went out and he got on his motorcycle and his phone buzzed. And he pulled his phone out just so he could turn it off. He wasn't going to respond, but he pulled it out while he's riding his motorcycle, looked down to turn it off, and he looked up and a dog had just run in front of him. He swerved, missed the dog, flipped his bike, threw himself across the road and tumbled. It was pretty beat up. He lived, but he was pretty beat up, and he felt lucky to have lived. And he's like, I can't believe we were just talking about that. And then I did it. I fell for it, and he came into class and he talked after he'd gotten out of the hospital, and he's like, just listen to me and don't text and drive. That's what he told everybody in class. And then here's another story. So it happens all the time, right? You probably know somebody who's you probably had close calls yourself because of texting and driving, and you may even know somebody, or you might be someone who has gotten in an accident. So here's a paper that and in my classes all the time, people are like, yeah, that was me, or yeah, I know someone, or I lost a friend. So it happens incredibly commonly. So it's really important not to text and drive. And here's what one student shared in a paper recently. Your eyes should always be on the road and only on the road. Watching the videos of people that lost their loved ones or have loved ones who are now going through a really hard time in their lives because someone careless was texting and driving caused the other person to be paralyzed for life or break an arm or leg, etc. One glance at your phone and not looking at who is in front of you can cause the worst accident possible because of your careless actions. It did hurt me to watch those videos because I have a friend this year on the day of New Year's. He did tell me he was going to go buy some food with his friend, which he did, but what I didn't know was that he would be texting while driving. He always replied back to my texts immediately, but that night on New Year's, he didn't, which did worry me. So I did blow up his phone and fell asleep later thinking he would text me back in the morning. I woke up and saw a text that said he's in the emergency room. I thought he was joking with me. I couldn't believe it, but eventually found out that his dad had sent me that message from his son's phone because he was in the hospital. I found out that him and his best friend had crashed into a tree that night, and they both did end up in the hospital, but my friend was in more danger than his best friend. My friend went into a coma. He had serious head damage. His best friend went home a couple of days ago because he was fine, but my friend stayed in the hospital for a long time, and he had to get about 4 surgeries done for his head. After he came out of coma, he didn't have a scratch on his body. It was only the head. Everyone, including myself, prayed for him every day. Now he's discharged and home and slowly getting himself back together. He's walking, but with the help from his family. Right? So, like, how horrible is that? Like, losing your ability to walk and, like, having to relearn to walk. I mean, some terrible things can happen. You just want to keep your head up. You want to keep your head up and not looking down at your phone. Don't touch your phone at all when you're driving. So yeah, that's the important message here. So go check out these videos. Your final text message. Just go to YouTube and search for that. Your final text message and watch that video. It could save your life or the life of somebody else. And share this with your loved ones. It's a really important video. Go watch it now.